So we summarize the situation as it stands in the 17th century. 3 books appear. The Fame and Confession of the Society of the Rosy Cross, published in 1614, possibly available as early as 1612, sometime in manuscript. It is believed they were circulated. And a third work, the Chemical Marriage of Christian Rosencreutz, which appeared 2 years later. Now, in the Fame and Confession, our illustrious brother C.R.C. is never referred to by anything except initials. He is delivered to us as Christian Rosencreutz only in the Chemical Marriage. Now, the question that must further be established is, from a critical standpoint, is the Chemical Marriage in any way an actual manifesto of the society? Flood did equally well in writing on Rosicrucian material at the same time, and at the end insists that he doesn't know the order and has never met a member of it. Meyer did a splendid job with the same negative conclusion. Therefore, as the Fame and Confession had been in circulation for 2 years, are we really entitled to assume that the Chemical Marriage was an actual official production of the society, or was it one of the many logia that appeared during the next 5 or 10 years? We like to assume, for practical purposes, that it probably was, directly or indirectly, a manifesto. If it can be traced to Bacon, we probably have every reason to assume that it was a genuine work. Whether we can trace the Fame and Confession to Bacon is another problem. But here again, you can have a lot of fun. It is assumed that the author of all of these works, that is, of the Fame and Confession, was a German. And, of course, it is assumed that the author of the Chemical Marriage was a German. While these works may have been published in Germany, the German author had some troubles. When he got stuck for a word which might be a little unusual in German, he usually used an English word, which might possibly imply that English was his mother tongue, or it may have been put there on purpose to create this question in the mind of the reader. Anyway, it is a valid question, for in an emergency or in some strange abstraction of learning, language, it might well be that we would fill in with some word more familiar to us. But let us assume for the moment that these 3 books were all genuine productions. We have to question the appendix of the Fama Fraternitatis, wherein to this was added a small work by Baconian, an Italian author on the universal reformation of mankind. It was all of a theme, but this work only appears in one edition of the Fame and Confession. So here we are with 3 books looking for an author. These 3 books stand completely alone, and every effort to tie them successfully to any other group of literature seems to be little better than useless. Waite comes to this conclusion, that these 3 books stand alone, and then he begins to ask himself whether these books stand, or whether the whole group of volumes fall together. This is a question which I don't think we can fairly take. I prefer the more moderate course of assuming that some person or persons with a real and definite purpose, and perhaps speaking for a private society devoted to esoteric, mystical, or even religio-political activities, did issue these manifestos. That for one reason or another, nothing further transpired. We were assured that these would appear in many languages. Actually, they did not. The only time when they appeared in any other language was much later when they were translated. They were not simultaneously issued in 5 tongues or anything of that nature. And the various announcements and pronouncements contained within the volumes seemingly never were fulfilled. To show how the situation was in the year of grace 1616, we might have to compare it to some strange thing that might arise today, where suddenly there would be thrown upon us a most solemn and apparently official document affirming the existence of some strange or secret government and inviting us all to join in this great movement for the regeneration of mankind. Small fragmentary splinter movements of this kind have appeared at frequent intervals, but have never amounted to anything. So the excitement grew immediately. Men of tomorrowness, whether they were affiliated with anything or not, were greatly moved by the dignity, the humanity, the nobility of these manifestos, and all were most anxious to join. So that at that moment, the society had its best press, and there was a tremendous popular interest.